Welcome back, metalheads, and welcome to the part 2 interview with Saxon. This was conducted with the bass player Nibbs Carter, which was conducted on the 10th of February 2022. Thanks again, Nibbs, for taking your time out and doing this interview. I would also like to thank the record label Sliver Lining for setting it up. Thank you, guys, much appreciate it. If you haven't got the new album, it's called Carpe Diem. It's a fantastic album, classic Saxon sound with a heavy approach. It's a fantastic album, some great songs on there. Really need to check this out. So, like I said, folks, thanks for watching. I hope you liked the interview. Please share on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and anywhere else you can on social media. Like again, thank you for watching. Be safe, stay metal. Plenty more interviews coming your way. Cheers, folks. They're all brilliant albums. Like I said, Metalhead for me, it was just like the turning point. As you know, I've always been a Saxon fan since I was 10 years old, but Metalhead was just like, holy shit, this is the bomb, this is the bomb, this is the album. And ever since then, you've just done consistently heavy albums, but with classic Saxon sound, which is awesome.
Yeah, it's I don't know, something's been good about it. I think we haven't had too much outside interference. You know, we haven't had production saying, you need to do this, you need to go that way. I think we've basically been trusting our own judgment. And, you know, we've been around a while. Right. I haven't been around as long as Paul, Nigel, Biff, and Doug, but, you know, I've been around long enough as well to know, you know.
I mean, do you think your influences have helped? Because I know you like a lot of thrash stuff. Do you think you brought the heaviness to the band? People are probably saying, is it you that's brought the heaviness?
I don't know. I like all kinds of music, but yeah, like you say, I do like thrash era influence. But you know, Biff and the boys, they've toured right through the era of like early Metallica, Anthrax, Megadeth, right through that, and you know, right through those albums, like of those bands that I just mentioned, through the mid '80s. Saxon were there, but just going in a different direction. Thrash had become its own, like, you know, strong branch. It wasn't like a cult thing anymore. It become recognized. Oh wow, that's a real. It's cult, but it's like established. Saxon were like going down a less established thing, which was more blending radio rock with heavy rock, if you know what I mean. Yeah. Lighter rock with heavy rock. It was an kind of uncharted thing, and it was being very influenced by what bands looked like as well. You know, it was if you were in a thrash band, basically the sound was how you looked. You know, yeah. But you know, the way Saxon were going in the later '80s was pretty much dominated by how you look, not the sound. It was pretty much the other way around, and they've turned that round. We turned that round in the '90s and got more back to, you know, focus on music and blend in. You know, Saxon were doing stuff like. If you listen to tracks like Princess of the Night, the chorus is quite melodic and nothing to do with thrash. But if you listen to the opening riff, you know, that's like coming from thrash. You know, the attack that Paul has in his right hand is like exactly the same as what James Hetfield's doing, and vice versa. Learning from each other, and tracks like 20,000 Feet and Heavy Metal Thunder. And To Hell and Back Again, you know, they could easily be swapped from one Metallica album to a Saxon album.
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
And so it was always there, and I think what I have probably brought to the band is you've already got these tools in your toolbox, guys. Let's just get them out again. You know, that kind of thing. You know, I can remember saying that a few times to the guys early on in me joining the band. I would say, God, you've got all this stuff already. You know, just get the shit out of the way and just push the stuff that you're already awesome at to the front. And yeah, when you're a newcomer, it's can be seen as okay, calm down, kid, calm down. But you know, we're pretty much doing that stuff nowadays. You know, we're using Saxon's old tricks. You know, just polishing the dust off a bit and pushing it right to the front, right in your face.
Yeah, that's what you are doing with the albums. There's a lot of in-your-face songs in the last 10,
Yeah, and
10 albums.
but that's pretty much where they were. That's pretty much where Saxon were in '82 and '83. It was like right there in your face. Take it or leave it. And the great thing is, we have a singer that can sing. You know, it's not something where the music is like, wow, it's crazy, and then you get like totally aggressive, over the top vocals that can make you think, whoa, that's enough. You know, I've heard enough. It's great. It's not extreme. You know, we've still got the luxury of having a singer who can be melodic, and that makes a hell of a difference when you've got, you know, super heavy, fast, hard hitting, you know, music, but with a vocal that you know navigates through that, and like it can pull a lot more people in and make it just ties everything together.
I mean, you're a damn good guitarist from what I've been told. You play electric guitar, so you must come up with some some really good ideas for the band.
I do write all the time with 6-string, and that's what I'm doing here. You know, I've got a 6-string here and 4-string here.
Right, okay.
And the laptop that I'm speaking to you on,
yeah,
that's where I've got all my software and writing program and stuff like that. You know,
yeah.
It's pretty standard for part of the course nowadays. But it's the thing is, you can plug in and have an amazing guitar sound just here. You know, just coming in the bedroom. I mean, and drum software. I program drums and stuff, but you can have. I was out running an hour ago, and whenever I'm running, I've always got ideas and stuff. Or before I go, I just pick the guitar up and just play stuff into my dictaphone. And then when I come back from my run or something, I'll just plug in and get a project going. Drum tracks, guitar tracks, bass, and maybe some melody accompanying it. And before you know, you've got a pile of stuff. And I'll just send that off to Biff, and then he just wades through it saying, Jesus, that's crap. Oh, that's not bad. And then he'll write me back and say, change the chorus, change the key, make it sound like a rock band, not like Kate Bush. And then off we go. And then you've got a demo. And then next one. And we've got a good relationship like that, Biff and I. We've been doing it like that for a few years now. And that's the luxury of, you know, being able to just send stuff globally and have instant feedback. You know, it's a bit scary, but it can really help in the writing process when you're not in the same room. You know,
yeah, obviously, yeah.
Yeah, when I wake up, I don't usually pick the bass up. And to tell you the truth, the bass is probably in my hands 40% of the time. It's usually a 6-string that's in my guitar most of the time, and that's because I don't know. Melody comes a lot easier out of a 6-string for me. And,
yeah, I can't.
You know, when you're writing a guitar riff, it just is just easier for me to do it on a 6-string. So yeah, I come up with plenty, and I can't stop it. Actually, it's so easy to just do it. And I tell you what it's like. It's you know, when you get in the car and turn on the radio or something. I just like doing that all the time. I've nearly always got something playing, and if there isn't something playing through the speakers, then I have to make some noise. And because it's so easy to set up a drum track, bass track, and just jam along with it, you're having fun. You know, that's my pastime, that's my hobby. But you're writing at the same time. So you're creating. It's just like sketching all the time. Some people just like, they're looking out the window, they're walking in the countryside, and they're basically mentally sketching all the time. And that's what we do. Us musos, we've always got some kind of melody or rhythm going through the head, and you're just knitting it together.
I mean, like I say, I mean, you play guitar and that. I know Paul's got his own project doing the cards, and Biff's done his solo album, and
Yeah.
Doug's doing something at the minute. Have you ever thought of doing like a side project of thrash metal, getting a load of musicians together, and you playing guitar and somebody play bass, drums, different vocalists? Have you ever thought of doing that?
Oh yeah, not very much, but the thing is, I've got the material to do it. What I would like to do is just like get some melodies and lyrics together and put them together with music that I've got, and then search around. Um, what is it actually worth performing this stuff on stage? If I did that, who would I do it with? Yeah, I've thought about it, but not just a. It wouldn't be just like in the direction of thrash. It would be, like I was saying, I often come up with stuff that's probably a bit too progressive or too much fusion for Saxon. And Biff and I will talk about that, and then we'll guide it more towards straight Saxon.
Yeah.
But stuff that stays fusion and progressive, I think that's worth me pursuing, because that's where I've come from. Weather Report, Rush, that kind of thing. That's the kind of thing I'd like to release. But definitely with a thrashy, heavier outlet here and there.
Yeah,
Bit of
interesting.
I think it would be basically fusion, you would call it.
Because it's about time you did something yourself. Like, say, everybody else in the band's doing side projects, but you, it's like, well, I know you do write loads of songs yourself, and it's just like all this material you're just probably not using. You could think, put it to some use.
Yeah, the stuff I'm not using, I could definitely put it to some use. But the stuff that we do use, it ends up being the album, Saxon album. So, like I said, stuff that does get used, I'm super proud of that. It would be great to do something on the side and say, this is what I do when it's not a Saxon record. But just because a lot of people do that doesn't mean that I need to. But I mean, I'm sure I will do at some point.
Yeah,
I'm always looking out for. Okay, there you go. That's a list of tracks that's worth saying. Okay, you've got a record there. I don't think it's worth doing it just because you think you've got the material for it. You have to be careful. You don't want to just put stuff out because it's doable. I don't want to put something out just because it's possible nowadays.
it's got to be
I'd
perfect.
like to put something out that feels complete, and yeah, but I'm pretty close to that point actually, and so yeah, I don't know. In the next couple of years, I would say I'd like to release something. Let's see.
I hope you do. Good luck with that, Nibbs. So we're going to move on slightly. When you look back at all the old Saxon albums, do you have a favourite Saxon album and why?
Oh yeah, definitely Wheels of Steel. Yeah, it's just so well. It just shows you what was going on at that period. That's when I was like 14, and yeah, for me that's the one. It's just got all the right angles, all the right noises, all the right different styles in one raw sounding album. And I can remember about I don't know, when would it have been, 30th anniversary? So yeah, 2010. We played at Download Festival, and we went on and tried to play it all in order, and that was crazy. It was brilliant though, and just learning it though really took me back to how it was, listening to those tracks for the first time. And I can remember getting ready to go on the stage. It was like, wow, we're going to play those tracks, and it was a big deal. I think it was the 30th, or it might have been the 35th anniversary of the band. But it was Download Festival, and we went and did it, and that basically said to me, yeah, that's the album. It's not easy to say, from a band that you're a fan of and then you're a band member of, what's the favourite album. because I mean I'm very proud of what I've done, you know, to help in composing the stuff for the recent albums. And so I could easily say, oh, that one. But I have to go with Wheels of Steel. That's what first got me into the band, you know, 747 Strangers in the Night, first single that I ever bought, along with a whole lot of Rosie, Live from If You Want Blood. Those two were the first singles that I bought. And that was because when I heard 747 on the radio, it was just like, what's that? I'd never heard Saxon before. And it was just that sound, melodic vocal, great groove, great sounding guitar.
I think for me it was the band's played on Top of the Pops.
Yeah, there you go. So, you know, it was confirmed for me that when we did that show at Download, and we had to do all that rehearsing of those tracks, it's like, oh wow, every track on that album in order. Wow, this is crazy. And yeah, so that's my favourite Saxon album.
What about albums you did with the band later on? Do you have a favourite?
Pardon?
What do you have a favourite album that you did with the band later on?
Yeah, I would say the Thunderbolt album, or the Battering Ram album, or the Thunderbolt album.
Is there a reason why?
Well, yeah, we'd. I thought the Sacrifice album was pretty close to like how we were all, what we were trying to like, how we were trying to express ourselves as a like relevant band in, you know, in this new millennium. 2014, I think Sacrifice was, and it was great. We went out on tour, and I think a lot of people said, "Wow, we didn't expect that from yous," and yeah, basically we just like pumped up that album, came out with the Thunderbolt album, and I can remember thinking, wow, you know, there's some really cool stuff on this album. And you know, I had again, like I said, I was really proud. It had a lot to do with the composition, and I can remember seeing some of the reviews, which doesn't say everything, but you know, there were a few reviews basically on the same like wavelength of, you know, the band has been recording and writing consistently well over the last few years, threatening to come up with this kind of album. I seem to remember a few of them were like pointing at, and yeah, it was really well received, and yeah, that I would say I'm really proud of that one. But then we've got this new one coming out. I don't know if did you hear the Carpe Diem?
It's brilliant. I give it 5 out of 5. I mean, there's some fantastic songs. I'm not going to lie to you. I mean, the new single, The Pilgrimage, is a perfect song for a video, no doubt about it.
Okay.
It's one of those songs where you sat in your car, window down, belting the music out and just cruising. That's the sort of vibe I'm getting from that song.
Okay, it's just the petrol cost a fortune. But I think, yeah. Well, then again, yeah, really proud of that one. It's, I think we've really done well in just filing off the edges of each song here and there to really tune it in to sound like, you know, classic Saxon. And yeah.
You know, just before we talk about the new album, I mean, you did the Heavy Metal Thunder album years ago, which was the old classics redone on today's technology. Have you actually thought of actually doing a part 2 of that?
Don't think so. I mean, when you've got such a large like catalogue of songs, you can always do that kind of thing. But not really. I mean, we're busy like staying relevant for nowadays. You know, we did what we did back then. You know, on that album. Who knows? It's easy to just go back and replay some of your old songs or rearrange them, but you know, what's the point? It's back in 2000, I think we did Heavy Metal Thunder like re-recordings. You know, the whole point was let's just do some tracks that we think like didn't like get the production quality treatment that they deserved back then, and we've already done it, you know. So
Yeah. Okay then. So I was looking at some of your songs like Forever Free album, and there's a song on there that I think could go down really well in the new set, Night Hunter.
okay,
I
yeah,
think that would be a great song on the new forthcoming tour to play live. What do you think?
yeah, yeah. That was one of my riffs. It was funny. Um, I came up with a couple of riffs on that album. One of them was called Cloud Nine, I think it was, and Night Hunter. Yeah, yeah. That's
It's got a really kick-ass chorus. I mean, that was some great live.
yeah. It's similar to a couple of like tracks we've done on the last couple of albums, and yeah, it's definitely in that vein of heavy, like fairly classic Saxon. And yeah, I can remember really thinking that's going to be good live, but we never played it live ever.
There's your chance.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing you can do is let me know. I'll pass that message on, see what people say.
Yeah, I would, mate. There's a recommendation for you.
Yeah.
I mean, if you were to strip your whole set, all your set list down to the bare minimums and start from scratch with new songs, what sort of songs would you pick? Instead of doing like
New,
instead of doing 747 live or a band's played on, if you strip the whole set and did all the songs that you haven't played for years, what kind of songs would you do if you had the chance?
it's funny, when we were doing the Thunderbolt tour with Judas Priest around the States, we just released Thunderbolt, and they just released Firepower. And we would go on stage and open with Thunderbolt. They would go on stage and open with Firepower. And so we were both like really proud of these records. And then we went on and played Thunderbolt. They played Rock and Roll. I think there was one called Nosferatu, and there's one called Secret of Flight. You know, and we were only playing for 50 minutes or something like that.
Wow.
And so out of 50 minutes, you know, you're going to get like 9, 10 songs. 4 of them were off the album that we just released. And so I had the feeling, wow, these songs sound great live. They're going down really well with a huge crowd every night. Must be doing something right. And yeah, and then we went out trying to do these anniversary shows, 2019. And everything got like stopped. Biff had a heart attack, then came COVID. And so we've just gone out and started doing these anniversary shows again. And we've cut it right back down to the bare minimum. We're celebrating the 40 years of Saxon, but if you look at the list, you can see that it's pretty biased towards the older stuff. But you know, pretty much rightly so. That's pretty much what I don't know, 80% of the public who know the band would recognise. You know, there's so many like new songs that I think should fit in the set, but they have to. It would be odd to play something that like is totally left field compared to what you're doing in the night. It's nice to pull out something old or something a bit left field, but if you start going too diverse, I think you can lose momentum in a gig and definitely lose momentum in a record buying public. There's one song though, "The Secret of Flight." I would definitely have that in a new set. There's the one called "And They Play Rock and Roll."
Yeah, which is dedicated to Lemmy and the boys.
Yeah, but it's like if you listen to those 2 songs, it could be early Saxon. It could definitely be early Saxon, and you know, Saxon were always trying to be a little bit adventurous in the early days. Paul's a very versatile guitarist. You know, he definitely likes to think out of the box, and he would come up with stuff in early days. And I think, you know, those songs that I just mentioned, They Played Rock and Roll, sounds pretty straightforward. It's a fairly tricky arrangement, but, you know, it just races past you and drags you along with it. the Secret of Flight track. That's a little bit more multifaceted. It comes from all over the place, but it's it's well rounded and typical Saxon, but from the later era. But like, what would you come up with for a set list? I don't know. I mean, there's from the Unleash the Beast album. I think that opening track is a great one. There's loads of stuff. I mean, there's a ballad from the Battering Ram album that I'd like to do. It's a little bit difficult to pull off. It's called Kingdom of the Cross.
Oh yeah, it's a good song, that.
It's got a song chorus, but the verse is all narrated. The verse is all narrated.
That's with David from Hell On It who did all the narrating on that.
Yeah. It's a little bit different kind of arrangement. I don't know how you would pull that off, but I think the crowd would like to. I think the public would really. I think you could. There are ways around making it work. I think that would be one that would go down well.
Yeah.
But like. We've got quite a lot of new stuff in up until we started with the anniversary shows. We were putting quite a lot of the later stuff in the set. But you're talking hypothetical, what would you do if you just scrapped all the old stuff and just put new stuff in? I'd have to write it down for you,
Yeah.
I tell you the truth. I haven't sat down and thought, what would a set list just from 2000 till 2022 look like?
Yeah.
I have to have a look.
Interesting, yeah. So just before we talk about the new album, you did the Inspiration album last year. There's a part 2 coming out, I believe, isn't it? Because Jackie produced the albums.
There is a number 2, yeah.
Yeah. So when do you think that's going to be released? Is it all ready to go? Pretty much, he's got to pick
up.
I
don't know. I know that we did some recording for that in. I think it was autumn 2020 or 2021, and that's purely something to do with where is there a gap in the market? You don't just throw stuff out because it's done. It's like the same with this album, Carpe Diem. We could have released it. Really, we could have released it a year ago, but what's the point? I mean, you're not in a typical market climate at the moment. There are people just hoping that they can leave the house and go back to work because they've got COVID or they're positive tested, and just people have got other priorities at the moment. And an Inspirations album, it's really cool that we did one to get us through this period of you can't go out on tour. But things are starting to open up now, so that's just a record that we've done, and it's there if we want to release it, And,
what choice of songs?
We're concentrating on the Carpe Diem project at the moment. It's a really good record. People have started buying it and giving some feedback on it, and it seems like it seems like everybody likes it. We put a lot of work into it, and it's turned out good. Considering the period in which it was recorded, it's been a really tricky time. It's turned out really well. People like it, so we'll blend it in with these anniversary shows and festival shows that we've got coming up through the summer.
So
take it out on tour in the autumn.
Right. So came up with the title for the album then, Nibbs. Was it Piff? What does it mean?
Yeah.
Carpe was it mean Carpe Diem? What does it mean? For the people that
Seize
don't know.
the day. So, it's funny actually. My wife Biff was going to get a tattoo if we sold out Hammersmith Odeon, and my wife and I, we wanted to get tattoos also, and she and I, we were going to get Carpe Diem anyway because we've had a tough time in the last few years health wise, and living for today is basically what Carpe Diem means. In the military sense, the warrior sense, the Roman military sense, I think it's more literally seize the day. This live for today, fight for now. But yeah, Biff decided that is an awesome concept for the album title, and it kind of like encapsulates everything that's been going on for him personally, like with health and like globally with war on bugs goes. Seize the day, live for now, live for today.
Was that the only title he had for the new album then?
I don't know. I mean, to tell you the truth, the only time I've been actually seeing Biff or been together with Biff over the last 2 years is March the 7th, 2020 for a Dusseldorf show. And then we went into lockdown. And then we got together in August for 2020 for the Inspirations. And we weren't really talking about album titles for the next record. We were just talking about everyday stuff. Let's get this album recorded and go to the pub. And then gigs would get postponed again and get postponed again. And then the only gig we did in 21 was I think it was Bloodstock.
Yeah, I was there with Judas Priest.
Yeah, but it's like we were more interested in music's pretty much finished. Biff's recovery from the heart attack, and his recovery and ability to get back on stage and play was, we did 2 warm-up gigs in 2020 before the Dusseldorf gig in March the 7th, and then we did the Dusseldorf big show, and then it was all shut down. So after that, it was just a case of concentrating on getting the record finished. And I didn't get on the phone and say that would be a great album title, that would be a great album title. I think Biff was like shuffling things around anyway, adapting to what was going on in the world. Is it too much to actually release a song called Remember the Fallen about COVID victims during a pandemic? And with a bit of hindsight, I think Biff decided, no, we've been in this thing for 2 years already and it's not going away. So, to put that track on an album, I think he had different lyrics for it, but realised actually it's worth documenting. It's worth writing about this crazy situation that we're in.
Strong message.
And I think Pilgrimage, which is like you just mentioned, is such a classic track and a great sentiment. I think he was toying with calling the album that for a while, but in the end, he decided, no, let's stay with the Carpe Diem, and yeah.
Right then, so the song "The Pilgrimage," I'm just going to ask you about that video. Was it recorded on the stage at the Hammersmith or Manchester Apollo?
I think it was Hammersmith. I'm not sure, but we yeah, that's right. We got a sound check in the venue, and don't forget, these are 2 large production shows. There's a load of work going on by the crew and local crew to prepare for 4 bands in those big stages. And we didn't have, it's not like a rolling tour. It was just 2 shows that came from Germany to Manchester, London, and back out again. Right now, COVID, anybody would have tested positive. The whole thing would have been pulled off. And that's that would have been a lot of unhappy ticket buyers. And so, we went in and we wanted some film of those great stages, with all of the stage set looking. And so, we had some crew in. I'm not sure if it was Manchester or London, because it was all a bit of a blur. But yeah, you're right though. It was filmed on those 2 shows. Yeah,
because when I first
blended in.
Yeah, because when I first saw the video, I was like, I'm sure this looks like it was filmed in Manchester or London. It's
exactly. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it was
perfect
put
timing.
Together pretty quickly.
Perfect timing for you, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So the album songs. I mean, what songs from the new album do you like, and why, Nibbs? Is there any favourites for you?
Dam Busters is my favourite.
It's a heavy song, and it gets your head going.
Well, it's basically me trying to play guitar as fast as possible.
All right.
But I also know that Nigel can he can play that kind of drum track so well. You know, it's like if you listen to Nigel play drums back on, I think it's Battle Cry. It's back a few years. It's either Rock Relations or Innocence.
I think it's yeah.
Yeah, I knew that Nigel could kill that drum track, and it's just coming up with that just
It's very Celtic. It's got a very Celtic feel as well, isn't it? That
yeah,
song?
it's got a bit of a jig to it, that kind of thing. But that to me, that's old school Saxon. You know, if you listen to Warrior and Taking Your Chances and stuff like that, that groove was they used to do that album pretty much. That kind of groove pretty much on the first 2-3 albums. It was like a staple thing for Saxon. So I wanted that to be on there, and the subject matter that Biff came up with was exactly how I felt. You know, it's like I don't know. He visualized it really well. You know, I don't know if you know what the story is of Dam Busters.
Yeah, it's the dams in the Lancashire tunnels, isn't it? Where they used to do the practicing, dropping the bombs, so that get the accuracy rate to blow up the dams. Basically, is that right?
Yeah. It was a big deal. You know, trying to break these dams over in Germany to try and finish or slow down the war effort. And there was a big movie.
Yeah, Dam Busters. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Black and white one.
And yeah, I had no idea Biff would choose that as subject matter, but you know, came up with the music and just thought, yeah, just go absolutely as fast as you can and create this like feeling of speed. And yeah, he went with it, and it fits. You know, like launching an attack, in dropping bombs, and undercover, nighttime, really dangerous missions. Yeah, it fits, and that for me, that's my favourite from that album.
Okay, any other songs, Nibbs, you like on the album?
That I like?
Yeah, any other songs are your favourites or anything?
Well, I like the vibe of the Pilgrimage track.
Yeah.
That's a really nice, like classic rock style track to play.
Yeah, I mean, you've got the songs like "Age of Steam." That's kind of reminds me of "Princess of the Night" Part 2 in later years. Is that
okay.
Is that the kind of vibe you think about when you think about that song? Do you think the same as me?
No, I had a completely different. When I'd written that one, I had a working title, Domination, and I don't know where it was going, but when Biff sent it back to me with his vocals on it and said this is called Age of Steam, it was like, oh wow! And so when he'd done that, it was already written basically, and already done, pretty much finished. I just stuck an intro on the beginning, you know, that made it feel a little bit more like I don't know, it fits in a little bit more with this locomotive like fascination.
You're going to be doing any more promo videos for this album?
I don't know. That's not my table.
Yeah, and are you looking forward to the tour? But you can't wait to get back on tour doing a full tour.
Yeah, definitely. Especially now that I've seen the kind of venues that we're playing, because there's 16 planned shows in the UK, and they're all city halls basically.
Yeah, are you happy?
Beautiful theatres, and it's the kind of stage where you know everybody's got room to live. You know, whoever's support band, they've got room to do their thing as well. You know, they're not just going to be squashed on a tiny stage, and so there'll be plenty of room for a big crowd and big production. So the UK tour, really looking forward to that. And like I said earlier on, there is a European tour in the planning. Hopefully, like a couple of weeks after the UK tour. But yeah, like you said, definitely excited about getting out and doing an actual tour.
Are you happy with the results of the album, the end results, the way it's turned out, the production? Are you happy with it? It sounds absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, well, I've actually only got, of course, I've got a final product, but it's only in like digital format. I'd like to have, I like to get home, back to Germany, put a vinyl on a turntable and listen to that. Sit back, vinyl, loudspeakers in a room, instead of headphones, digital file and stuff like that. But as far as the way the songs have turned out, yeah, I'm very happy with that.
Right. Do you have anything to say to the people watching this YouTube video interview?
Yeah, whoever came to those shows that we did in England, thanks. That was crazy that you held on to your tickets and sold out Manchester and London for us. That really does make you feel like your fans care. So thanks a lot for that. And yeah, if you have any chance of seeing your favourite bands out on tour, seize the day. Really go and watch your favourite bands, because, as you know, you never know if it's going to get locked down again. So get out, check your bands out.
Brilliant. So, Nibbs, thank you for doing this interview. Be safe. Have a nice time in America. Say hello to the guys for me, and
everybody, check out Friday 13th. You're going to love it.
Cheers, Nibbs. Have a nice day. Thank you for everything. Keep in touch, and I'll see you on the road.
Okay, Jason.
Cheers, mate. Thank you. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye, mate.